Lindsay Smith joins me now in studio. Lindsay, a digital living evangelist, is her nom de work. How you doing, Lindsay?
Good, how are you?
Lindsay, I called you Lindsay.
Well, that's a new name for me.
You're tall.
It's kind of like Gimsy. What's the green guy that used to wander?
Gumby.
Gumby.
And Pokey. Did you play with them?
No, I didn't.
They were my generation.
They were, okay.
The thing about Gumby is he made a great eraser. Although he slowly became diminished and he lost his oddly shaped head as you used the point part of his head as an eraser. I don't know how I discovered that.
As long as we don't start calling me Gimsy what did you say?
Gumby.
No, but whatever your nickname was. That's how we led into that.
Limsy. Let's talk about social media for a few moments, because that's the thing I like to bring you on the show to talk about, social media stuff. And man, oh man, the riots. How did you take it? I went through phases with my social media take on the riot. What was your thoughts?
My social media take, I mean, just overall from a social perspective of watching this happen in our city, it was very disheartening. I was completely confused by it because I didn't, I guess I'm a bit of an optimist, and I didn't expect the community to break out in this type of behavior. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go around saying I was completely disgusted by Vancouver, which is a comment that many people have said. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is because I don't think it was Vancouver people in general that were doing this. It was a small handful of people. And based on the fact that, some of them had brought gasoline in little eyedrop containers or whatever it was that they were using in order to light cars on fire. This was obviously planned by people, whether or not the hockey team won or lost. So
exactly, you don't come downtown with a balaclava in your pocket.
Exactly. I think that
now the fallout in the social media that followed, though, with the Facebook page being up that evening already, within hours of the riot, of trying to identify the people that were causing trouble. What was your take on how Facebook played a role in that, and social media played a role? And then we saw sites come up like publichumiliation.com suddenly sprung up with people's pictures on them.
I know there's a VancouverRiots.com, a VancouverRiots.ca I noticed sprung up. I covered it mostly I was interested to seeing how the media was covering it and how they were using social media in order to cover it. And one of the things I found really interesting was how CTV got on it right away and had footage from their live chopper right on their blog. So instead of, like, you're flipping through the channels and you're trying to find information on this, and obviously it's not making it to television right away, but you could go online and you could find it, and people were tweeting out the links left, right, and center of photos that they had taken, videos that they had taken, and that was really powerful in order to truly get news the moment that it was happening.
Yeah, it had actually, from that perspective, the fact that it was breaking on social media faster than the mainstream media could follow it. It was almost reminiscent of the Osama bin Laden assassination, where or the killing. When did you hear the story about the ballpark in Philadelphia, where within about 3 or 4 hours after the killing, it hadn't reached the mainstream media yet, but people were suddenly being in a baseball game in Philadelphia. All of a sudden, with 40,000 people there, they broke out spontaneously into God Bless America, because they'd been tweeted in over about 10 minutes through tweeting and social media. The entire crowd of this ball game knew what had happened before it was on the scoreboard or in the news or on the radio or anywhere.
And that's the power of social media, is just the fact. Now, the downside of it is that, and we've heard these stories before, where the wrong information can travel fast. And so, I mean, we've seen it go out. I can't remember which sports legend it was, but someone had been reported had passed away, and through social media channels, and it was completely inaccurate.
Yeah, that was Burns, the hockey coach. Yeah,
there we go. So, I mean, it works in the opposite direction as well. But did you hear about how the Vancouver Police Department, though, was actually using the social media clips in order to compile their investigative research? They put up a website right away so that people could upload their photos, their videos, and things like that. Like, how powerful is that?
And that's the plus side. And then the negative side on that same vein is now people are suddenly being publicly outed, and we're having young offenders with their names being published. So a huge challenge, but definitely social media is continuing to evolve the way we look at the world. Let's have some fun now. Tell me what, because you've always got some of the coolest apps that always I seem never to be in jive with you of what apps I use. So what apps are rocking your world these days?
Well, Social Score is an interesting one for me, and
okay, I just installed it. So tell us about Social Score, and then I'll tell you whether or not I want to tell you what my score is.
Okay, so Social Score it syncs up with a social influence metric called Clout.com, and it will tell you what your social influence popularity is or score is online, and it takes into account your LinkedIn, how active you are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. The average social score, if you were to sign up for it with moderate use on those websites, you'd probably rank at about a 28. Most of the people Steve's giving me the look, like, what is yours?
Going, just keep going.
A really good one that I've seen for someone who has a lot of influence in the Vancouver, British Columbia market is around 70, and that's really, really high.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you have to be working your butt off in social media in order to get that.
And see, this is the thing. Okay, I'm a 34. But it only asked me my Twitter name. It didn't ask me my Facebook's login. It didn't ask me my LinkedIn. So I got to go in and I got to put those in.
So what you'll have to do is go on to Klout.com, which is KLOUT.com, and set up your account so that it's actually checking all three websites.
Because I'm way more influential than 34. I'm telling you right now, I'm at least a 37.
You're at least an 80.
Oh, give me a break. What are you?
I'm a 55. I've dropped 5 points in 3 days because I haven't been tweeting.
It's like saying that's like asking somebody how much they weigh and they say, but I've gained 5 pounds. It's if you've dropped 4 points. But here's the thing that I think we need to understand. Everybody that wants to be ranked on the internet and do those things is you can end up chasing these sort of rankings and stuff like this, and don't tweet just to be out there tweeting. If you got something to say, that's it. And I know that you typically post really useful stuff. I don't see too much useless stuff coming from Lindsay. But
well, I think a lot of it too is it measures your engagement. It measures your reach, like your true reach of people. So it isn't just about volume; it's about quality of how you interact with people online.
Well, I like that because it says true reach. It's 277. Because I know I don't do a lot on Twitter. But so that's the number of people that are actively engaged in reading, and that sounds like a more reasonable number than the 800 or 900 that I have that have actually signed up to follow me. So that's good. And then so that's called social score for those of us who are insecure online. What else do you got?
Well, here's one that I really liked, and actually my sister Michelle introduced it to me. It's called Instagram, and she's a photographer, and I was complaining to her how I hate using my iPhone for photos. I'm like, yes, it's got HD photographs on it, but I'm like, I hate taking pictures of myself. It just drives me crazy. And she goes, so I took a picture of myself and I showed her and she goes, oh, you're right. You look terrible. She goes, why don't you use the app Instagram? And I was like, well, I hadn't heard about it yet. And what it does is it's kind of like a social network for photographers or people just who want to take pictures with their mobile phone, but it also has a bunch of filters on it. So when you take the picture, not only does the normal filter make you look better, but you could do like kind of like the I'm not a photographer, so I don't know what all the filter names are, but it's actually, let me just go into it right now. There's things like your early bird look and Apollo, which gives you kind of like a gray spaceship.
So this is for when
filter.
You're holding the phone out at arm's length and taking a picture of yourself.
Or any photo.
And it just cleans it up?
It cleans it up, yeah. It makes
Instagram.
Yeah, and then you can share it with you can share the photos with other people, you can post it on your social networks, all sorts of stuff.
Okay, Instagram. So you got time for one more quick one.
Yes, let's talk about 1Password.
Let's talk about that.
And that is a saving grace for those of us that have a million accounts online, and we're constantly trying to remember what our password is. So 1Password is an app that works on your phone. It's also a website, so you can use it on your PC. It does cost money. I'm trying to remember. I think it's like $9.99 per device that you're using it on. But what happens is every time you log into a website, you have the choice of saving the password for that, so you'll never forget it again, and it can autofill. The other thing I like about it is it's very secure, so you can generate like 10-digit, really difficult passwords.
As long as you remember one good password.
Yes, you only need the one good password that you'll never forget, and then you can manage it all. But that's the ideal place to be.
Yeah, and does it not concern you to have just one password? Because if somebody gets that account, then they get access to everything. Doesn't that concern you a little bit?
I'm
saying it to be devil's advocate.
Yeah, fair enough. I've just never run into those problems before. Maybe I'm just lucky, and I haven't heard that many horror stories. And 1Password has a really good reputation in the industry. So,
and the bottom line is, more problems with passwords are caused by forgetting your password and all the time we waste recovering our password than the theft. Although I guess people that have had their identity theft might disagree.
Let's make a crack at Sony. As long as Sony's not behind the app, then we're okay.
Hey, Instagram. That's 1Password. Our motto is, we're not Sony. Lindsay Smith's not Sony either. Digital Living Evangelist at lindsaysmith.com. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
We're not.